My name's Ethan Miles, and I swear to you, this story still makes my skin crawl every time I think about it. I've had bad luck with my teeth since I was a kid. Crooked, brittle, the kind that make every dentist sigh before they even start. When I finally got my wisdom teeth removed, way later than normal, it was supposed to be a relief. Instead, it turned into the worst experience of my life. The pain was unbearable. It felt like my jawbone was being crushed from the inside. I was prescribed 2 different pain meds and told to take them in rotation. That meant setting alarms, waking up every 3 hours, night after night, just to swallow another pill and sink back into a half-conscious haze. After a week of that, I stopped feeling human. My nights blurred into strange, broken fragments of sleep. I'd wake up sweating, sometimes not sure if it was morning or midnight. Everything felt off. That night, the one I'll never forget, started just like any other. I woke up to my alarm, downed my medication, and tried to go back to sleep. But my room was stifling hot. The air felt heavy, like breathing through wet cloth. My head throbbed. My sheets stuck to my skin. So I got up and cracked the window open, hoping for a bit of air. A sticky breeze drifted in, carrying the faint hum of crickets and something else, something faint and scratchy that I couldn't quite place. At first, I thought it was the wind brushing against the siding. But then it came again. Scrrrtch, scrrrtch. It was subtle but deliberate, a dragging, like claws sliding across wood. My mind immediately went to raccoons. Or maybe a squirrel. My parents' house backed up against a thick patch of woods. We'd had plenty of unwanted visitors before. But the sound didn't come from the walls. It came from above me. I froze, lying there in the dark, listening. The scratching shifted, moving slowly across the roof. For a minute, I tried to ignore it. Told myself it was nothing. But it kept going, steady, patient. And the worst part? I could hear it getting closer, right over my bedroom. I sat up, heart pounding. My body screamed for me to just stay in bed, but I couldn't. The longer I listened, the more I realized that whatever was up there wasn't just passing through. It was doing something. Digging. I whispered into the darkness, "What the hell?" Then the scratching stopped. Dead silent. For a moment, I thought it was over. But then came a dull thud, like something heavy had dropped onto the roof. Right above me. And that's when I realized? It wasn't an animal. When I heard it start moving again, faster this time, I knew I had to see what was up there. But I wished to God I hadn't. The sound started again, quicker this time, a desperate shuffle that made the ceiling creak. I stared up, wide-eyed, the faint glow from my alarm clock painting everything in sickly red numbers. 2:47 a.m. Something was walking back and forth above my room. Not crawling, walking. Heavy steps, uneven and erratic, like whoever it was didn't quite know how to use their legs. Every step sent a tiny vibration through the walls. I sat there, frozen. My hand hovered over my phone, ready to call my dad, but something in me hesitated. The part of me that still thought I was imagining it. That it was just the meds messing with my head. Then came another sound, a sharp metallic scrape, like nails on the gutter. And a breath. I swear to you, I heard a breath through the open window, as if someone was exhaling slowly just above the glass. My stomach dropped. I pushed the blankets off and stood up, my legs trembling so hard I could hear my knees clicking. I didn't even bother putting on shoes, just slipped out of my room and into the hallway. The house felt wrong, quiet in a way that pressed against my eardrums. Downstairs, I grabbed my dad's big flashlight from the garage shelf, the heavy metal one he used when the power went out. Its weight felt like safety. I crept toward the back door, my heart beat so loud I could barely hear the floor creak beneath me. The night air hit me like a wall when I stepped outside. Thick, humid, and absolutely still. I swung the flashlight beam up toward the roof. The light cut through the darkness, illuminating shingles, the edge of the chimney, the gutter, nothing. I whispered to myself, maybe it's gone. Then something moved. A shadow darted across the roofline, fast, low, like a person crawling on all fours. My breath caught in my throat. I aimed the light toward it, but it was already gone, slipping out of the beam before I could focus. For a second, I thought I'd imagined it. But then the flashlight flickered across the far corner of the roof, and something was there. A shape. Someone crouched on the shingles, their skin pale as chalk, their body trembling. They turned their head toward me, and even from below, I could see their mouth hanging open, like they were trying to speak but couldn't remember how. My first instinct should have been to run, to call for help. But I just stood there, the beam locked on that face, unable to look away. Then, in one sudden, jerky motion, the figure stood upright. A man. Completely naked. Watching me. I took a step back. "Who are you?" I shouted. My voice cracked, echoing across the yard. He didn't answer. Didn't blink. He just tilted his head slightly, as if listening to something only he could hear. Then he crouched again, and began moving toward the edge of the roof. Toward me. I should have gone inside right then. But when he leaned forward, balancing on the edge like a bird ready to dive, I realized it wasn't curiosity that kept me there. It was fear, the kind that roots you in place while the nightmare walks right toward you. He crouched there on the edge of the roof, his body twitching like a puppet being pulled by invisible strings. The flashlight trembled in my hand, the beam stuttering over his ghost-white skin. Every muscle in my body screamed at me to move, to run, to do something. But I couldn't. It was like my feet had sunk into the earth. Then he moved. Not a normal jump, it was too fast, too animalistic. 1 second he was perched on the roofline, and the next he'd thrown himself off, crashing into the ground with a sound that made my stomach twist. The impact was sickening. His limbs bent wrong. He should have screamed in pain, he should have stayed down, but he didn't. He stood up. I took a shaky step backward, flashlight still locked on him. His movements were jerky and unnatural, like every joint in his body had forgotten which direction it was supposed to bend. "Hey! Stay back!" I shouted, my voice cracking with panic. He didn't even flinch. His eyes found me, wide, unblinking, empty, and he started walking. Each step made a wet sound, like bare feet slapping against concrete. I stumbled back, tripping over the garden hose. The flashlight hit the ground, spinning in circles, throwing wild beams across the trees and fence. That's when I saw his hands. They were black with dirt and blood, the nails cracked and jagged, like he'd been digging through soil for hours. I remembered the scratching sounds from earlier, the steady clawing on the roof, and my stomach turned. He'd been trying to dig into the house. My breath hitched. "Dad!" I screamed. "Dad, wake up!" No answer. The man started to run. Not sprint, charge. His head tilted back, mouth open wide, a guttural growl ripping through his throat. I barely managed to grab the flashlight before he slammed into me. We hit the ground hard. His hands went straight for my face, clawing, thrashing, his breath hot and rancid against my cheek. I fought back, punching, kicking, anything to get him off me, but he was strong, impossibly strong. His skin felt fever-hot, slick with sweat and blood. He grunted, snarling like an animal caught in a trap. I felt something sharp slice across my cheek. My vision blurred. Warm blood poured down my face. Then I heard it, the sound of the back door slamming open. My father's voice, furious, terrified, "Ethan! Get off him!" Hands grabbed the man, yanking him off me. The two of them struggled, crashing into the fence. My dad's flashlight beam flashed wildly across the backyard, slicing through the chaos. For one horrifying second, I saw the man's face in the light, and I swear to God, he was smiling. A wide, cracked smile that stretched too far across his face. Then he tore free from my father's grip, bolted across the yard, and vaulted the fence in a single, fluid motion. Gone. Just gone. I sat there in the grass, trembling, blood running down my face, staring at the spot where he'd vanished into the woods. My dad ran after him that night, but the woods swallowed the man whole. And when we saw what he'd left behind on the roof the next morning, I wished we'd never gone looking at all. By the time my dad got me to the hospital, I could barely stay conscious. My face was slick with blood, my head pounding like a war drum. The nurses rushed me in, asking what happened, and all I could stammer out was, "Someone was on the roof." They thought I was delirious. Maybe I was. Hours passed in a blur of stitches, antiseptic, and questions I couldn't answer. They said I was lucky, nothing broken, just torn skin and shock. But the word lucky didn't feel right. Not after what I'd seen. When the police showed up, my dad did most of the talking. He told them about the man, about how he jumped from the roof and attacked me. The officer just frowned, scribbling notes like he was humoring us. When my dad mentioned how the guy had dug into the attic, the cop actually chuckled. "Probably some drugged-out vagrant," he said. You'd be surprised how common that is. I wasn't laughing. They promised to search the nearby woods, but they didn't. They left before sunrise, leaving us with a hollow reassurance and a card with a case number that would collect dust. Back home, the house felt wrong. Even after the blood was cleaned, the walls still felt heavy, like they remembered what had happened. I barely slept. Every sound outside made me flinch. Every gust of wind against the roof made my stomach twist. The next morning, my dad went out with a ladder to inspect where the man had been. I remember him calling me outside, his voice shaking. "Ethan," he said, "you need to see this." I didn't want to, but I followed him anyway. There, on the far end of the roof, were deep grooves carved straight into the shingles, lines and scratches that didn't look random. They formed a pattern. A spiral. And in the very center of that spiral, wedged between two cracked tiles, was a handful of teeth. Human teeth. I nearly threw up. My dad called the police again, but by the time they arrived, the wind had blown most of the debris away. The spiral, the teeth, all of it, gone. Like it had never been there. That's when my mom found us standing outside. She took one look at my face, one look at my dad's pale expression, and she broke down. For weeks afterward, she couldn't sleep. Every night, she'd double-check the locks, peek out the curtains, whisper prayers under her breath. We installed cameras around the house. Motion lights. New locks. But none of it changed the way the place felt. Even now, sometimes, when the air gets still at night, I can hear faint scratching from somewhere above the ceiling. And every time I hear it, I wonder if he ever really left, or if he found another way back in. It's been almost a year since that night. I moved out of my parents' house 3 months ago, new city, new apartment, new start. But no matter how far I go, I can't seem to leave that sound behind. For a while, things were okay. I started sleeping again. I even told myself it was over, that it had just been a psychotic break or a hallucination caused by the meds. That's what the therapist said, anyway. Your mind filled in the blanks, she told me. Stress, trauma, sleep deprivation, it can do strange things. I wanted to believe her. God, I really did. But the nightmares kept coming. Dreams of pale skin, blood-slick fingers, and that awful, broken grin. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, half expecting to see him crouched in the corner of my room again. But the room's always empty. Always silent. Until last night. It was around 3 a.m., the kind of quiet hour where even the city seems to hold its breath. I woke up to that same familiar ache in my jaw. It was dull, deep, like something was shifting beneath the skin. Then I heard it. That same slow, deliberate scratching sound. Only this time, it wasn't coming from the roof. It was coming from inside the wall. At first, I just sat there, frozen, listening. Then, just as it had years ago, the scratching stopped, and the silence that followed was worse than any noise. A faint knock came next, soft, rhythmic, from behind my headboard. 3 taps. Pause. 3 more. I leaned closer, my heart hammering against my ribs. And then, faintly, through the plaster, I heard it, a voice. A whisper so quiet I could barely make it out. Ethan. The sound of my name, drawn out in that same broken tone I remembered from that night. I stumbled out of bed, grabbed my phone, and shone the light against the wall. The tapping had stopped, but there, just above the floorboard, I saw something, a tiny crack running up the drywall. And sticking out from that crack, was a tooth. A small, yellowed, human tooth. I dropped the phone. My body went cold all over. The whisper came again, closer this time, not from behind the wall, but from inside the room. You let me in. I ran. Didn't stop to grab anything, just bolted out the door and down the stairs, barefoot, my pulse roaring in my ears. I didn't even look back until I was standing in the street, shaking under the orange glow of the streetlights. When I finally looked up at the apartment window, I saw it. A shadow. Perched against the glass. Smiling. Just like before. I moved again after that night. New locks. No windows near the bed. No attic above me. But sometimes, when the world goes quiet around 3 a.m., I still hear it, that soft, steady scratching. And I know he's still out there, waiting for me to open the window again.